Hello, today's video lesson is going to be over scale drawings, scale factors, rectangles, dealing with area and perimeter, and it's also going to be covering constructing shapes that we've done before. So we've spent some time constructing triangles. Today we're going to be constructing some rectangles. So it says up here that you need graph paper. If you don't have graph paper, let's go ahead and pause the video for a second, make sure that everybody has a piece of graph paper. You should have picked one up when you came in, but if you didn't, make sure you have some graph paper. And so the graph paper is what we're going to use to construct these triangles. Okay, so one thing that I want to point out before we start, there's a lot of grids and a lot of numbers on this paper. Let's break it down a little bit. Right here it says original rectangle. I want you to circle that. So all of these lengths and widths describe what we're going to call the original rectangle. So my first original rectangle is a 2x5. My second is a 7x1, a 6x12, and we're going to use the graph paper to create those. We're going to find the perimeter and the area. So you could find the perimeter and area by knowing the length and width, but we're going to construct them first and then find the perimeter and area. Then we're going to look at the scale factor. And it's from the original image to the larger image, or larger rectangle, and we call this, remember, the scale drawing. So this is what we call the scale drawing. So we have original and the scale drawing. So then we're going to use a scale factor of 2 to enlarge and create a length and width of our new enlarged rectangle. We're going to draw that and find the perimeter and area. Then we're going to look at how do the perimeter and areas compare when we have a scale factor of 2. What does that mean for the perimeter and area? So we're going to find some relationships. So for the first 5, is that 4? Yep, first 4, we're going to go from original to larger. Then for the next few, we're going to go from larger down to the smaller. And so that means the scale factor of 5 now means, okay, we take this length of 2, multiply it by scale factor of 2, get a length of 4. Here we're going to be saying, okay, a length of 15, scale factor of 5, gives me a length of 3. Because as we go this way, we're going to be dividing. And as we go this way, we're going to be multiplying. So from there to there, we're going to multiply. Alright, and down here, from larger to smaller, we're going to divide. Alright, so those are little notes that you can fill in there and write so that you'll have that. Okay, so let's go ahead and create our first one. So, sorry the video's shaking. Somebody upstairs must be running or something. My whole room's shaking. Okay, so the first one, length and width. We have a length of 2, a width of 5. So get out your graph paper. Doesn't really matter where you start, but you're going to want a lot of space for all these shapes. So let's go ahead and draw a 2x5 rectangle. So I'm going to draw, what was the, a length of 2. Okay, so length of 2 and a width of 5. So length of 2, width of 5. Oops. Alright, and you know how I like to have everything labeled, so we're going to label this 2, this 5, and then you know rectangles have opposite sides congruent, so if this side's 5, this side has to be 5, and if this side's 2, this side has to be 2. Hopefully you can see that okay. So here's a 5x2 rectangle. Alright. So let's look at the perimeter and area. So I'm going to just keep it like this. The perimeter, remember, is the distance around the object. So I'm going to add up all the sides. 5 plus 5 is 10. 2 plus 2 is 4. So 10 plus 4 gives me a perimeter of 14. Alright, the area is multiply length times width. So 5 times 2 gives me an area of 10. Okay, if you need to make some reminders, go ahead and do so. Okay, now we have a scale factor of 2. So that means my enlarged rectangle is 2 times larger than my original. So if my original had a length of 2, 2 times larger would give me a length of, hopefully you said it or wrote it, 4. Width of 5 enlarged by 2 gives me a width of 10. I want you to be interactive. You can shout at the video. Okay, so don't shout. Just, you can talk at it. Okay, so 2 times 2 is 4. 5 times 2 is 10. All right, let's draw our enlarged. So we have a 4 by 10 this time. So we're going to go down 4. 4 for my length. And a width of 10. Count your boxes carefully. Make your lines, if you want to use a ruler you can, but the graph paper helps you to be able to draw a pretty straight line. So let's go ahead and label. Now we have a 10 by 5. Alright, so the perimeter and area. So the perimeter of this is 10 plus 10 is 20. 5 plus 5 is 10. So 20 plus 10 gives me a perimeter of 30. And the area, length times width, 10 times 5 gives me an area of 50. Alright, so we've done number 1. So if you want to number this number 1, and you can number your paper number 1 on your graph paper just like that. That'll help kind of keep you organized. Alright, then give some space for number 2. And then this will be number 2. So let's go ahead and number all of these actually, so we can know which shapes we're talking about. So we have 9 shapes that we're doing. Okay, I'm going to do this one down here with you. Let's do number 5 together. So you should be able to do 2 through 4 just fine on your own. Okay, so those 3 you can do on your own. So I'm going to give you enough space to do 2 through 4 on the front. I'm going to flip my graph paper over. So there's my front. I'm going to have you do 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the front. Let's flip over the graph paper to start with number 5. And if you need extra graph paper, more than welcome to use extra graph paper. Okay, so let's go down to number 5 because we're reversing it now. So now we have the larger image, and we're going to be scaling it down to the smaller image. So let's go ahead and start with creating our larger image of 15 by 20. So we have a length of 15. Alright, and a width of 20. Alright, so if you need to pause the video, you can to get caught up with my drawing. And label. I'm going to label this 20 and label this 15. So again, this is 20 and this is 15. Okay, so if you want to pause the video and make sure everybody has their drawings, go ahead. So here we have a length of 15 and a width of 20. So my perimeter, we have 20 plus 20 is 40, 15 plus 15 is 30, 40 plus 30 is 70. So we have a perimeter of 70. And we have an area of 20 times 15. Let's use the mental math here. 15 times 2 is 30. Tag on a 0, so we have 300. Alright, so 15 times 2 is 30. 15 times 0 is, well, it would be 2 times 10. So 15 times 2 and 15 times 10. Alright, so we have perimeter of 70, area of 30. Alright, so we're going to reverse this now. And so we have a length of 15, scale factor of 5. So we're going to take 15 divided by 5 to get our new length. So our original length, 15 divided by 5, gives us 3. Alright, so the scale factor is 5, and we're going from bigger image to smaller, so we're dividing. And then 20 divided by 5 gives me a width of 4. So my original was a 3 by 4. Enlarged times 5, we can check it. 3 times 5 is 15. 4 times 5 is 20. Alright, so let's create our original rectangle. And so we just need a 3 by 4. So you might even be able to fit it over here in this corner if you saved enough room. So I have a length of 3 and a width of 4. There we go. All right, and label it. There's 4, there's 3, 4, and 3. All right. So you have the rest of this room to do the last 4. If you need an extra sheet of paper, I'm sure you will need an extra sheet of paper. Looking at those numbers, you'll definitely need a new one, or an extra sheet. So use extra graph paper, but make sure you graph each one of these. Okay? And turn to the back real quick. So the rest of that you're going to do on your own after the video stops. So you're going to do these 3 and these last 4. Turn to the back. So that was hole number 1. So number 2, so that's step 2. Now you're given the perimeter of a rectangle is 50 centimeters, the length is 10 centimeters. What is the width and what is the area? So they're told the perimeter is 50, the length is 10, what is the width? Okay, and what is the area? So they're giving us perimeter and length. So we know one of the sides is 10 centimeters. So we can draw a little sketch here. If one of the sides, well, the length, so that kind of describes width, so let's do the other way. The length is 10 centimeters. And we need to figure out this side there. Okay, so we know that 10 centimeters is also across from my shape there, so those are both 10 centimeters. So we have 10 plus 10 gives me 20 of my 50 perimeter. So 20 of my 50 centimeter perimeter is taken up. So we can do 50 minus 20 gives us 30 centimeters left over. Well, if x was 30 and this was 30, that would already put me at 60 centimeters. Too much for my perimeter. So this 30 centimeters right here describes what's left over for both of my x's. These are the same measurement. So if 30 centimeters is left over for two measurements that are the same, what does each x get to be? Hopefully you said half of 30, which is 15 centimeters. Alright, let's check and make sure that's true. 15 plus 15 is 30, 40, 50. So that gives me 50 centimeters. So we just take what we're given, subtract it from the perimeter, and we find out what's left. So then the width we found out was 15 centimeters. And the area then, length times width, 15 times 10 is 150. Label centimeters squared. Square of the area. Alright, part 2, it says, if the scale factor to a larger rectangle is 3, what is the length, width, perimeter, and area of the new larger rectangle? So we're taking this one and we're enlarging it by 3. So the new length, instead of 10 centimeters, we're going to do 10 times 3. Our scale factor is 3. 10 times 3 to get 30. The width, now we're going to take, we found the width was 15. 15 times 3, and we get 45 centimeters. Label. So for the width, we take this 15 that we found, multiply it by our scale factor of 3, and we get 45 centimeters. Okay, now the perimeter was 50. Okay, well we can find the new perimeter here. Now I have a 30 by 45. So this is 30, this is 30, this is 45, this is 45. So 45 plus 45 is 90. 30 and 30 is 60. So we have 90 plus 60, which is 150. Notice, super cool, math always relates. Notice my perimeter before was 50. My new is 150. What's 50 times 3? My scale factor, 50 times 3 is 150. So all we had to do was take our old perimeter times the scale factor to get 150. Okay, now area is different. My new area is 45 times 30. Ooh, okay, so 45 times 30, we could use some mental math here, or we could use a calculator. I don't have one on my desk right now. I'm going to use longhand. So we get 1,350 centimeters squared. So area, I'm going to teach you guys tomorrow how this relates, but the area is not just 3 times bigger. So you're going to have to calculate your new area. Okay? So draw a picture for these remaining ones and see how far you can get. Alright? So finish this up for the rest of the class and work on this back part as well. Okay? Drawing a picture for each one. You guys will do great. You can work together as long as you stay on task. Alright? See you guys tomorrow.